Good morning, everyone. I want to start with a truth that's both simple and profound. Nothing can stop the plans for your life. Not the failures, not the rejections, not even the moments when you doubt yourself. The plans for your life are bigger than any detour, mistake, or setback. And the beauty of it, you don't have to be perfect to live them out. You just have to be willing to show UP. When we talk about courage, we often imagine bold, extraordinary acts, climbing mountains, starting revolutions, or making grand gestures. But courage isn't just about those big, dramatic moments. It's about the small, quiet choices we make every single day to show up, even when we're scared. It's about stepping into the unknown when we don't have all the answers. And it's about being vulnerable enough to pursue a purpose that feels bigger than we are. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action in the face of fear. Purpose often demands that we take risks, step outside of our comfort zones, and trust that the leap we're taking will land us exactly where we're meant to be. The tricky part is that courage rarely feels heroic in the moment. Most of the time, it feels uncomfortable, messy, and terrifying. But without it, we remain stuck, paralyzed by what-ifs and the need for certainty. Think about it. Every meaningful pursuit in life starts with a moment of courage. Whether it's starting a new job, ending a toxic relationship, pursuing a dream, or simply saying, this isn't working and I need to change, these moments require us to face uncertainty and take a step forward anyway. Courage also invites us to embrace vulnerability, which is the foundation of authentic living. When we're brave enough to acknowledge our fears, name our insecurities, and take risks despite them, we open the door to deeper connection and fulfillment. Vulnerability isn't about oversharing or exposing ourselves unnecessarily. It's about allowing others to see the real us, even when it's uncomfortable. Here's the thing, the path to purpose is rarely straightforward. It's filled with challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But courage is what keeps us moving forward. It's the voice that says, this is hard, but it's worth it. It's the resolve that helps us face rejection and still believe in the value of what we're pursuing. And it's the energy that allows us to try again after failure. Imagine what would happen if you let courage guide your steps instead of fear. What would you try? What risks would you take? What dreams would you dare to chase? The truth is, purpose isn't found in playing it safe. It's discovered in those moments when we choose to act despite uncertainty, to speak up even when our voice shakes, and to keep going even when the path ahead feels unclear. Courage doesn't mean you'll always get it right. It doesn't mean you'll never face rejection or failure. But it does mean you'll live a life aligned with what truly matters to you. And that's the gateway to purpose, a life of meaning, growth, and connection that's uniquely yours. So today I challenge you, where can you practice courage? What's one step, no matter how small, that you can take toward your purpose? Remember, it's not about being fearless, it's about feeling the fear and moving forward anyway. When we encounter obstacles, our first instinct is often to see them as signs of failure or reasons to give up. It's human nature to look at challenges and think, maybe this isn't meant to be. But what if I told you that obstacles aren't the end of your journey? They're not there to derail you, they're there to refine you. Think about how a diamond is formed. It begins as a lump of carbon, unremarkable and rough. But under intense pressure and heat, it transforms into something valuable and brilliant. The same is true for us. Obstacles are the heat and pressure of life that shape us, strengthen us, and prepare us for the purpose we're meant to fulfill. Obstacles don't just reveal our weaknesses, they also reveal our strengths. When you're faced with a challenge, you're forced to dig deep, tap into resources you didn't know you had, and find creative solutions. Every time you overcome an obstacle, you're building resilience, confidence, and wisdom. And those qualities, they're essential for the journey ahead. The refining process isn't easy. It's uncomfortable, and at times it might feel like you're being stretched to your limit. But growth rarely happens in comfort zones. It happens in the moments when you're pushed to adapt, to learn, and to rise above the challenges in front of you. Let's consider an example. Think about a time when something didn't go according to plan. Maybe you didn't get the job you wanted, a relationship ended, or you faced a significant setback in your personal life. In the moment, it probably felt like the end of the road. But looking back now, can you see how that obstacle redirected you, taught you something important, or prepared you for an even better opportunity? Obstacles also teach us patience and trust. When things don't go as planned, it's easy to feel frustrated or impatient. But the refining process takes time. It's in the waiting, the struggling, and the trying again that we're being prepared for what's next. Sometimes the obstacle is the delay we need to become the person who can handle the success or purpose waiting for us on the other side. Here's another perspective: obstacles often clarify our purpose. When something gets in your way, you're forced to evaluate how much it truly matters to you. Do you give up or do you find another way? The refining process helps you prioritize what's truly important, shedding the distractions and focusing on what aligns with your values and goals. So, what can you do when you face an obstacle? Start by shifting your mindset. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this teaching me? How is this preparing me? Every challenge carries a lesson, and those lessons are the building blocks of your growth. Remember, the obstacles in your path aren't random or meaningless. They're part of the process that's shaping you into the person you're meant to be. They're not there to stop you, they're there to strengthen you. So the next time you face a challenge, don't see it as the end. See it as the beginning of something new, something better, and something uniquely designed for you. The refining process isn't easy, but it's worth it. Stay the course, trust the process, and know that what's waiting on the other side is greater than you can imagine. One of the most pervasive myths we tell ourselves is that our worth depends on what we do, what we achieve, or how others perceive us. It's as if we're constantly trying to earn our place in the world by meeting impossible standards, being the best, looking perfect, or never making mistakes. But here's the truth: your worth is not conditional. It's not something you have to earn or prove. It's inherent, unchanging, and absolute. From the moment you took your first breath, you were enough. Your value isn't tied to your productivity, your success, or even the approval of others. Yet so many of us carry the weight of believing that we're only as good as our last achievement or as lovable as the most recent compliment we received. When we live this way, we're stuck in a cycle of constantly striving but never feeling satisfied. Here's the problem: when you tie your worth to external things like your job, your relationships, or even your appearance, you're giving those things power over your sense of self. What happens if you lose the job? What happens if someone doesn't like you? Does that mean your worth suddenly disappears? Of course not. Your value doesn't fluctuate with circumstances. The world might tell you otherwise. We live in a culture that rewards perfectionism and performance, that celebrates constant hustle and measures success in numbers, grades, salaries, followers, and likes. But none of these things define who you are. They're just external markers. And while they may reflect aspects of your life, they don't determine your worth. Your worth is rooted in something much deeper. It's in your humanity, your character, and your ability to love and connect with others. It's in the unique way you see the world, the impact you have on those around you, and the courage it takes to show up as your authentic self. Let's talk about failure. So many of us equate failure with being unworthy. When we make mistakes, we tell ourselves, I'm not good enough, or I'll never measure up. But failure isn't a reflection of your value. It's simply part of the journey. If anything, failure is proof that you're trying, growing, and learning. Your worth isn't diminished by your imperfections. It's enhanced by your willingness to embrace them. The same goes for comparison. How often do we look at someone else's life and think they have it all together? Why can't I be like that? But comparison is a thief. It robs us of joy and blinds us to the truth of our own value. Your worth isn't relative. It doesn't depend on being better, smarter, or more successful than someone else. It's not a competition, it's a given. Living as though your worth is unconditional takes courage. It means rejecting the lies that tell you you're only enough when you achieve more, look a certain way, or have the approval of others. It means letting go of perfectionism and embracing the messy, beautiful reality of being human. When you truly believe your worth is not conditional, you live differently. You stop seeking validation in external things, and you start showing up authentically. You take risks because you know failure doesn't define you. You set boundaries because you understand your value isn't tied to pleasing everyone. And you extend grace to yourself because you realize you're worthy of love and compassion, even on your hardest days. So let me remind you, your worth is not a finish line you have to cross. It's not a box you have to check. It's not conditional on what you do, how you look, or what others think of you. It's already there, constant and unwavering. Embrace it, live from it, and never let anyone, including yourself, convince you otherwise. Trusting the bigger picture is one of the hardest things to do, especially when life feels uncertain, unfair, or completely out of control. When we're in the middle of a struggle, when the pieces of our life feel scattered or broken, it's almost impossible to see how they could ever come together into something meaningful. But here's the truth, the bigger picture is always there, even when you can't see it. Imagine a tapestry. Up close, all you see are knots and threads going in random directions. It can look messy, chaotic, and even ugly. But when you step back, you see the masterpiece taking shape. That's how life works. The events of your life, both the joyful and the painful, are threads being woven into something greater. Trusting the bigger picture means believing that even the messy parts have a purpose, even when you don't fully understand what that purpose is yet. Ve imagined. Life doesn't always give us clarity in the moment. Sometimes you'll go through seasons of waiting, setbacks, or loss that make you question whether the path forward is still there. But trusting the bigger picture means recognizing that these moments aren't wasted. They're part of the process. Growth often happens in the waiting, and strength is built in the struggle. Just because you can't see progress doesn't mean it isn't happening. Think about a seed planted in the ground. For weeks, there's no visible sign of growth. It looks like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, roots are forming and the foundation is being established. The seed doesn't sprout on your timeline. It grows on the timeline that ensures its survival and flourishing. Trusting the bigger picture means having faith that what's happening beneath the surface will eventually lead to something beautiful. It's also important to understand that trusting the bigger picture doesn't mean ignoring the pain or pretending everything is fine. Life is hard, and it's okay to feel frustrated, sad, or even angry when things don't go as planned. Trusting the bigger picture isn't about denying those feelings. It's about holding on to hope even as you work through them. It's about believing that this chapter, no matter how difficult, is not the end of your story. Sometimes the bigger picture reveals itself through hindsight. Think about a time in your life when things didn't go the way you wanted. Maybe you lost a job, faced rejection, or went through a painful breakup. At the time, it might have felt like your world was falling apart. But looking back now, can you see how that experience shaped you? Maybe it redirected you to an opportunity you never would have pursued otherwise. Maybe it taught you lessons that prepared you for something better. The bigger picture often becomes clear only after you've walked through the storm. Trusting the bigger picture also means surrendering the illusion of control. So much of our anxiety comes from trying to force outcomes or manipulate situations to fit our expectations. But the truth is, we're not always in control, and that's okay. Trusting the bigger picture means letting go of the need to have all the answers and embracing the idea that there's a greater plan unfolding, even when it's not clear to you. Lastly, trusting the bigger picture is about living with intention, even in uncertainty. You may not know exactly where the road is leading, but you can still take steps forward. You can still choose kindness, gratitude, and perseverance. Each action you take, no matter how small, is part of the bigger picture coming together. So when life feels messy or confusing, remember this: the story isn't over. The pieces are still being put into place. Trust the process, trust the timing, and trust that what's meant for you will not miss you. The bigger picture might take time to unfold, but it's always worth the wait. Keep moving forward, even when the path isn't clear. One day you'll look back and realize it all made sense in ways you couldn't have imagined. As we close, I want to leave you with this truth: your story is still being written. The challenges you're facing, the waiting you're enduring, and even the setbacks that feel like failures, they're all part of a much bigger picture. Trust that nothing is wasted. Every moment, every lesson, every triumph and trial is weaving together to create something extraordinary in your life. So when the road ahead feels uncertain, take heart. You don't have to have it all figured out today. Just take the next step, no matter how small, and trust that what's meant for you is already set in motion. Remember, nothing can stop the plans that are meant for your life. Not fear, not failure, not even your doubts. Hold on to that truth and let it give you the courage to keep moving forward. You are stronger, braver, and more capable than you realize. Trust the process, trust the journey, and trust yourself. The best is still to come. Thank you.